Twitch, which is classic.
Oh, we only have 3 people, and
I know.
all 2 of which are bots.
We are on. Welcome back, everyone, to Soccer Eyes. David Goss and Tom Bogert with you through all the trials and tribulations, through all the pain, through all the angst. We are on live on YouTube, as well as wherever you get your podcasts and whoever else is listening anywhere else in any other way. I messed up the tech as usual. I've got sun burning through my eyes, through walls that I can't figure out. I got the game on one screen, so I'm double screening the US U20s against Italy right now, leading 1-0. We were going to be here for the whole second half, but it took me over 10 minutes to figure out how to get us live onto YouTube. So now we are back at it. We are grinding through it, Tom.
Goss, you didn't we didn't figure it out. We win as a team, we lose as a team. Don't take this upon yourself. Don't worry. I'm here with you, arm in arm, my brother.
Okay. I appreciate that the first comment we got on YouTube makes me feel like it was all worth it. Is Jackson Duzic, who says, first live show watching just to say how much Croatia missed. MVP frontrunner, Petar Musa, in the game today. This is why I do what I do. The people are what make me come back day after day, time after time. Jackson, you've literally just saved my essence for a little bit. We have a lot to talk about in this show. The U.S. men's national team is playing against Ecuador tomorrow night, which is a big-time game. Ecuador, number 2 in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying, so one of the best teams going into the World Cup, and a genuine test for Pochettino and his team. So we've got some things that we want to see and what we want to talk about. I will be at the game, so if you're going to be in Austin or be around, hit me up, shoot me a message.
Boots on the ground.
I know. Capital J, lower J, because I won't even be reporting. I will just be there. But hit me up on Blue Sky if you're around and let me know what your plans are. We'll talk about this U20 game as it goes along. We will talk about the 22 under 22. So all the other young players who are not at the U20 World Cup, we got a chance to talk about them. And then we'll talk about some old heads. Tom, U20 game going on, U.S. against Italy. You are dressed like a character from Sopranos who was sent over here because they've been getting in trouble in Italy, and
Furio.
now they need
I look
to
like Furio.
Yeah, exactly. Now they need to drive down the Jersey Turnpike looking at all of the different fast food options in their life. Do you have split love on this one?
Yeah, I didn't kind of accidentally just wore a full tracksuit, and again on the YouTube you can see the top, but I do have a matching full tracksuit here, and I didn't think about it before I jumped on today
because it's your essence.
That it's light blue for Azzurri for Italy against the United States. While I have the love of my heart for Italy, this is no question the United States U20 is I'm all the way here, even though it's at least a different shade of blue than what Italy are. That's all I've got to cling to right now.
It kind of sounds like you're saying Italy every time you say Italy. So
relax.
Your favorite player, Cole Campbell, coming off the fields for my favorite player, Peyton Miller, coming on to change the game.
My favorite player.
Yeah, everyone knows. I was first. Talk to me a little bit about Saturday. Are you doing stuff around? Is this an Open Cup game?
Yeah. FC Monmouth is hosting Bulldogs SC in New Jersey in the second round of the 26 Open Cup. And I'm getting to go, and they're having me do the coin toss. I told them, don't worry, I'll bring my cleats just in case you need me. I can give you 15 minutes off the bench. And they said, no, that's okay. Just we'll bring the coin. Just come and don't bring any athletic gear. I was like, don't worry, I'll put my cleats in the car, and then we'll talk about it when I get there. So if you're in New Jersey, Saturday night, Count Basie Stadium in Red Bank, New Jersey, come hang out, watch, support your local. I'm very, very excited.
Count Basie Stadium?
Yeah.
That's legendary.
Yeah.
Who knew that New Jersey was cool?
Count Basie Park, I should say. I think.
I don't think the word stadium, Tom, was not.
Yeah,
that's
not
fair.
Of it that's fair.
That got me excited.
But you scared me for a second.
Count Basie Stadium. He was an incredible regista, says Nicholas Murray, the legend in the chat. That's really cool. I'm glad you get to be a part of that. We love the Open Cup here at Kickback and at SoccerWise, and we are stoked about that for you. I'm interested that they have players because normally the issue is that in the fall and the winter, it's hard for these teams to find players until college is off. So maybe you do have a shot.
I low key thought that and listen,
you feel good about it.
If I committed on September 9th, yes, I could have given you 30 minutes. And I could have fit in. I absolutely. Saturday. Depends on how quick the wingers are, how quick the people around me are. I would not be able to hang. I would not disrespect the players like that. But if you gave me a month to get fit and have a reason to get fit, then
I would not disrespect the players like that. That alone, talking about yourself in that way as if you have any relation to the situation, that might be disrespectful by itself.
Oh, relax.
Well, I love that for you, and I'm sad that I'm gonna miss it. Maybe I'll travel up just for that. Maybe I'll have to be in the New Jersey area as well as to support my FC Motown. Is that the team? Not FC Motown.
FC Monmouth.
Wow. FC Monmouth, not Motown. Sorry. That is a different New Jersey team. Let's get into some of the action on the show. Let's start with DeGod. Darlington Nagbe announcing that he will be retiring once this season comes to a close. 35 years old right now, playing for Columbus. They are clinched in the playoffs. It doesn't feel like it is going to be the best finish the Crew have, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they've had some special ones. Darlington Nagbe's been a part of all of those, as well as some of the great moments in league history for a number of teams. 4 MLS Cups across 3 different clubs, over 440 career MLS appearances, 25 caps for the U.S. national team. But that's part of the story with Darlington Nagbe retiring now back home in Ohio, which I think is one of the big parts about the way his career has worked out. Is Ohio was so important to him, got the chance to play professionally where he wanted to be, and of course grew up in Ohio, went to Akron, and there's a lot of history around that as well, the performances he had at that college and the college teams that he played for. Tom, I think it's been really cool to see the reaction. I think this is one of those players who luckily his career was long enough that he actually got image-wise rehabilitated during his career, because there have been some down moments which we can discuss. But what do you make of the news and sort of what's been your reaction over the last 2 days since hearing that Nagbe will be stepping away at the end of this year?
Darlington Nagbe is a certified legend in this league. He is, again, a generational player, generational midfielder, and it's been nice to see him really get, particularly after that 23 MLS Cup, the widespread adulation that he deserves. So it makes me reflect on his career as a whole and the time around MLS as a whole. So he was the 2nd overall Super Draft selection after he won the College Cup at Akron, because he's just a serial winner. He wins everywhere he goes. He comes to Portland, and this was a time of MLS where you would get a cornerstone of your team if you're near the top of the Super Draft. You think of Andre Blake kind of in that era, and you go on down the list that this was a more Americanized era of the league where the draft mattered immediately. And it wasn't just hey, if you get a couple guys to project for long term and maybe be a squad player rotation, or you hit the lottery with Daryl DK or insert any of the recent guys. Back then it was no, the expectations is this guy's going to come and he's going to start, he's going to be a big player. Nagbe was, and he was so very obviously talented and preternaturally talented, and it kind of came to a point where it's okay, when are you going to turn that into more goal contributions? So there was a time where I believe the Athletic did a GM survey in which he got, I would say wrongly, but he got a vote for most overrated player in MLS, and then more votes for most underrated player in MLS.
Yeah.
That is Darlington Nagbe, particularly his early and then maybe early prime of his career, because we were why is this guy not scoring more goals? We could see it. And then he settled in as possibly the best number 8 in league history. When I think of the term press resistance, what comes up is just Darlington's face smiling and shielding the ball, and you're never getting anywhere near it. There was, I think in 23, he was literally one of the most press resistant midfielders in the world, not MLS, in the entire world. This player is top class on the field, and off the field, I think it's going to be part of his legacy too, because he's beloved. I've never heard a bad word about him from teammates, from staff, both above and below him. And I think that's how you really know a character of a person, the way that they treat particularly people below them, or air quote below them on the totem pole of the organizational chart. After MLS Cup in 2023, I'm in the locker room covering the celebrations. Two different executives at the club, champagne soaked, very happy and boisterous, different times came up to me and said, he's the best effing player this league has seen. Tweet that. Like, everybody was like talking about, like, it was, everybody was happy for themselves, but like if there was a player that people were just immediately focusing on, it was more him than like Cucho, right? Which is super interesting and just shows what he means to everybody and what he means to that team in this league. I was talking to Julian Gressel after that game in the locker room, kind of about Nagbe, and he was like, yeah, like since he got here, every single morning, he says hello to everybody in the facility and gives them a hug. Like, not like us, like the support staff, like literally just everybody. Like, and like, it's not corny, it's genuine. That's just who he is. And I think that goes down as his legacy too, is just like an A+ dude off the field and obviously an A+ killer on it.
Yeah. It's his legacy, I think you touched on there, was always a little convoluted. It was just, it was like kind of something that was in the eye of the beholder. And I think one of the things a lot of us learned from him was not to care. And like he kind of went on his own page and it didn't matter to him. There was the Celtic connections when he was young in Portland, and everyone thought he'd go to Europe and he had no interest. And there was the desire for him to score more goals. There was the desire for him to play more for the national team. And he just picked his own path every single step of the way. And if he hadn't done that, I think arguably the most important thing in his career was like he was one of the people that helped bring the Crew back. You know, the fans saved the Crew. I think Tim Bezbatchenko was a big part of helping the Crew then, once they stayed, find the love from the community again. And part of that was because of the way they played and the success they had. And Darlington Nagbe was at the center of that. So it was like the right time and the right place to have one of your own, a native, who played the game the way people in Columbus love it and respect it, to be in the right time to come back to Columbus after Atlanta and be at the heart of that and help them build over the course of this 4 or 5 years, 2 MLS Cups with 2 different coaches, slightly different styles, but like overall, the post-Greg Berhalter Crew is Darlington Nagbe. Like I think that's the connection point, even over Wilfried Nancy, who is like, you know, such a voice of it. And I think the 23 MLS Cup, like you just talked about, I think that was the crowning achievement where people finally recognized it. And like, it felt like coming out of that, the most celebrated character was Darlington Nagbe. And that wasn't the case in 20, obviously because of COVID. It wasn't the case in 2018, even though I think that's when the recognition came of like, what shifted in Atlanta from 17 to 18? Oh, Darlington Nagbe came to the team. And I think that's where he really started to get the respect and the press maybe he deserved. And with Portland, it was a finding experience for him and them. Is he the 10? Well, if he's the 10, then we can't have others in the team. And so did it work building it around him? Not in that way. Then you bring in Valeri, then you start to find your feet. Then the club really starts to come together. And he found the way he played. I always remember the line, the first time I actually met Bobby Warshaw, one of our close friends, he came in to do like a guest appearance with me. And it was right in the mix of Nagbe playing with the national team and like, why doesn't he score goals? When will he score goals? What's the future? And Bobby used the line, which is like, everyone has a different part of the game that makes their heart sing. And for Nagbe, it was connecting passes and linking the game and moving the game and speeding it up. And like, he didn't really break lines. And that was to his detriment for 10 years in people's eyes, and then a positive for 10 years in people's eyes. But because the base with him was always so high, which is his soccer IQ and his technical ability, he could find the ways to affect the game anywhere. That's why everyone wanted him on the national team. You could argue the press resistance stuff comes from he has arguably the best technique of any player that's come out of U.S. soccer since John O'Brien, Tab Ramos, Claudio Reyna. Like, those are the names you're talking about when you're talking about Darlington Nagbe. So it was awesome to watch him in his career. He was always very nice. He does not like to do interviews, so we haven't had him on our shows very often. Maybe he'll want to now that he's wrapping things up. Probably not, but maybe.
Probably
but it's
not.
Really, what a cool like profile and personality for us to have had. Just someone who was on a different path, on a different road, and was able to stick to that and have the career that he wanted to, and will go down on a lot of lists, I think, as one of the great MLS players of all time.
Yeah, I think that's the top line here, and just I try not to use the word legend freely because then it takes the meaning away or it waters it down, dilutes it. Like, there's never been a more obvious this is a legend kind of like as like so. Not to go slightly personal, like around like I reported this before it was announced, and I feel a little dicey when it comes to stuff like this because, like, I don't know, man. Like, this feels personal. I don't want to.
Right.
Like, I know, like, this is news. This is things that I should be reporting. But, like, sometimes I feel conflicted. And this was one that I heard from, like, 4 different people. And I was like, okay, if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. But I was like, I'm not. I reached out to enough people that, like, I made it clear, please, like, I just get the word to Darlington that I don't want to blindside him. I have so much respect for this guy. And I kind of made, a self-deprecating joke of like, yeah, listen, hey, if you need to send him my number for him to mother F me, feel free. Like, haha. And it's like, you don't know Darlington if you think that that's remotely possible, that he would yell at somebody. Like, I was just, I was just using as a dumb joke. Like, I was just kidding. But it's just like, immediately, it's like, no, Darlington would never do that to any other person. Don't worry. So, I don't know, man. This guy's, I can't say it. There's not enough superlatives. And just kind of one more point that in like I guess a philosophical sense of the way we watch and the way we react, like life is all about expectations and relativity. We looked at Darlington as you could be this MLS best 11 national team, go to Europe as like an attacker. And that's partly why like that kind of was the lens that he was viewed early in his career, like kind of you were already saying, Goss. And we so often crucify players for what they don't do rather than what they do, right? And what they're so elite at and so great at. And hey, maybe there's, you could find this other 5 or 10 more percent, but instead let's focus on what the player was. And I think Darlington was a halfway decent case study in that in like traditional sports talk radio in the 90s or early 2000s, he would be viewed as like the guy who never, he never lived up to his talent or just in the attacking sense, right? But I think in real time, as like sports media and fandom and discourse has changed in some ways for the better, like watching again, particularly around 23, but like 2020 to like 24, just a universally beloved player. And I appreciate how that change was rather than we weren't still asking like, hey, why don't you have 10 goals and 10 assists?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's one of those things where I think the way he played has changed the way people perceive some of this stuff.
Also true.
And that's a huge compliment. I know Greg Berhalter wanted him in the team. And like, the national team program would have been better off if Nagbe had played more often. A lot of that's at the fault of the federation and the national team setup of like, it wasn't a good place to be for a lot of years. And he felt like he got blamed, I think, coming out of the 2018 qualifying debacle. And he didn't feel like it was a good setup to be inside of, which he wasn't wrong about. Like, it was bad. It was toxic from the outside. It was toxic at times from the inside. And then as it started to move along, my understanding is he kept getting asked as qualifying into 2022 and into the 2022 World Cup. And he didn't want to step in late on and be, take over. Yeah. And I think you look at what Roldan brought to that team. I mean, not Nagbe, I think, could have done even more just because of the way he fits. And, like, imagine him alongside Tyler Adams and, like, what they could have done. It would have been pretty crazy. Let me say this. So, with Nagbe, because of the counting stats are not there, the one number he's going to finish really high on is games played in MLS history. So, he's 2 games away from passing Kevin Hartman. He won't pass Kai Kamara because of the amount of games left. So he will finish 6th all time in career MLS games played.
That's awesome.
And this is one of the problems for Major League Soccer as they figure out how to like celebrate their history and what they're about. The list goes Nick Rimando, Kyle Beckerman, Dax McCarty, Jeff Lorenowitz, Kai Kamara. It'll be Nagbe now, Hartman, Chris Wondolowski, Drew Moore, and Chad Marshall.
Wow.
I think you could say, outside of Kai and all of that, none of those are full, real internationals. Like, all of their greatness comes from the time they played in MLS. None of those players are in the National Soccer Hall of Fame yet. I don't know that any of them will end up there.
What?
That's not who gets voted in.
Right. I don't know.
And I think MLS has to figure out a way to honor players like this a little bit better. I don't know if it's a Hall of Fame. I don't know if it's a legendary status. I don't know what it is. But, like, these are guys who the league and the sport is built on. And the growth of the league has led to the growth of the sport. And the stability of the league has led to the growth of the sport. And so you got to find a way to honor those players properly. And I don't know what exactly it looks like right now. And obviously the teams will, right? You look, we had Marcelo Balboa on the show a few weeks ago. They retired his number in Colorado. No one will ever wear his number again. That's an unheard of thing in all of soccer. You have these rings of honor. You have BWP's name up on the wall. Like, you have all these different things that teams have done, but there has to be, I think, some way from a league point of view so that people, as they get into it, learn about these players and, like, understand what they brought and what they meant to the league. Nagbe would be, I think, one of the ones that would be right up front with all of that. You think about Portland off the bat, like, yeah, Portland fans were always going to be invested, but having a great team and having him be the star, I think, helped early on. We talked about Columbus and then what he did in Atlanta. So we're getting the statue requests in the chat about him, and I think there's a possibility there. Like, now that you have teams that own their buildings and own the space around their buildings, could we start to see that a little more? I think that's one of the reasons the Galaxy, though, were able to be first. Is like they have a stadium that they could put it at.
Think of it in that way. It's so obviously correct and funny to, like, hear it, like, said out loud.
Like, where you're not going to build one outside of Giant Stadium or whatever it is.
Don't get to face so quickly with all the football fans on a Sunday.
Morgan Tenza, one of our corrects me, Nick Rondo was put in. I thought that one sounded wrong. So Ramondo was brought in this year. So
you were right about yourself being wrong. Good catch.
Yeah. MVP front runner, MVP. That's the main question. Let's stick with our retirement conversation, though.
Yeah, Jesus, it's not a retirement league.
No. Let's talk about Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, who came here so that they could eventually retire. What did you make of the news coming out? And I think, it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, right. We have to remember that Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, like, are two of the greatest players of all time.
Yes.
Just having had them for a little bit, we should honor. But then also it's like, what are the DP spots and what's going on?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, that's kind of where my brain wanted to answer the question. And as you were asking it, I'm, like, correcting myself.
USA goal. Let's go. Nico Tsakiris.
Oh, spoiler, Andrew.
Tsakiris.
It's just coming up for me. Oh, that's a good finish, man.
Yeah. Sneaks it around the wall.
2-0. We're gonna looking pretty good. Not a 79th minute to getting past Italy. That's huge, man. Beat France along the way, and looks like getting
France,
closer.
By the way, the whole story with France was like they barely put their team together. This is the worst France team. Then they went and won their knockout game, so they're still in the tournament. I love that.
Yeah. So Busquets and Alba. So. Yeah, it's, I think, more interesting to MLS because we don't have the same relationship anywhere near what we do with Nagbe to these two players because these are Barcelona legends. They're not into Miami legends, and that doesn't take away from their retirement. But, like, we're not going to go 20 minutes waxing poetic about these two players because, again, it's just different for what our league is and everything. Like, these are two of the absolute legends, generational players. Somebody, I saw a tweet. I wish I remember off the top of my head who said it. There's a pretty easy argument that you could say Jordi Alba understood Lionel Messi as a teammate better than anybody he's ever played with.
Yeah.
And you'd be hard pressed to kind of counter that with just think of how many cutback goals and everything, the telepathic nature between the two.
The thing about Alba that I've always thought was so funny is he's the only one that's not La Masia, right? He came through the Spanish national team to Barcelona.
Valencia.
And he almost finished as the longest tenured Barca guy outside of, or even with Messi, of everyone. And it was like such a funny experience that was like he was the essence of Barca past a lot of guys who were La Masia because of his age and the longevity of his career and all of that, but he was the one who wasn't actually a part of it.
Oh, it is funny. But again, like, I'm trying to just cover this on the front end of, like, we are not diminishing, like, there are going to be so many other shows that can much better put into words the same way we did with Nagbe, but with Alba and Busquets. And for us to even feign to do that is a disservice, because we're going to view everything from the lens of the epilogue of their career rather than everything that they've done. Like, these are two, at their position, two of the very best players in their positions of this generation. Again, you could make the argument that both of these guys are the best at their position of the last couple of decades. So, for these, like, it's been awesome to watch them play. It's been fun to do the whole villain stuff and everything that's come with it. Sometimes we get too self-serious, and sometimes we get too, I don't know, worried about putting our elbows out and no, this isn't whatever. Like, when people like show a highlight of either one of these players doing something great when they're older and being like, LOL, MLS, like, whereas we correctly argue they would be doing, if they played for a mid-table La Liga team, they'd still be doing the same thing. Yeah. I digress. The thing is that I hope that enough people were able to appreciate seeing the end of these two players in this league, and hey, we still get the playoff run, and it's going to be fun to continue watching them play, because again, just absolute legends of the global game, not just legends wherever. In terms of Busquets, was not a surprise in any way. Busquets almost retired this summer. Like, that was part of the jigsaw puzzle with Rodrigo de Paul on if it was going to be in a purchase immediate or a purchase this winter. So that's not surprising. You watch him, and with all due respect, right? Like, it's time. Jordi Alba's not, right? Like, Jordi Alba, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Like, he's still such a, like, one of him and Kai Wagner, two of the best left backs in the league. He was, he would have his defensive liabilities, but whatever. We want to focus on him going forward because, yeah, right. And he signed a contract extension a couple months ago. Like, so I don't know what happened here, or if he had a change of heart or anything else. Like, that one was shocking to me. And it opens a DP spot for Miami.
Busquets finished his career as third all-time in appearances in Barcelona history. And Jordi Alba, I think, finished 10th all-time. So, yeah, they're two of the greats. Sergio Busquets played for 143 times for the Spanish national team. Crazy. It was like a disgusting number, and Alba at 93, almost at 100.
And Busquets was the, like, again, there was just obviously so many great players in those teams, but like Busquets was the metronome of the 08 World Cup, 08 Euros, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euros. Like, would you call?
He was not on the 08 team, but he was the other
team. He wasn't. Oh, okay.
I think it was Marcos Senna on the 08 team, who was a New York Cosmos legend. So there you go.
Good thing I didn't do enough research on that. I just assumed.
Well, I was being a good teammate by letting you cook and not correcting you. So I was in there.
You corrected me immediately, as you should have. But what are you talking about?
It was a joke.
Oh.
But yes, two of the greatest soccer players of all time. Part of what is, I think many people would say, the greatest team, if you want to go national team. I think that those Barcelona teams as well. Like, they're two sides that are in their own realm as the two greatest teams. And then set the points record with Inter Miami. So for all the, like, there hasn't been all perfection, like, we do have to remember this right now, and it will remain because of what Philadelphia is at. It will remain the greatest regular season team in MLS history. And that was with Messi missing a ton of time and Busquets and Alba being super critical to what they did. I think, I'm not going to lie, a little surprising with Busquets just because it felt like his game would age well because he'd always been aged as a soccer player. But I think for him, the limitations of teammates made it harder than the limitations of opponents, if that makes sense. And so there's the like, oh, Messi's aged, but maybe he can dribble by college graduates every once in a while still in a decent way. Where for Busquets, I think it made it harder. There is, by the way, a challenge flag that has been thrown in the U.S.-Italy game.
Oh, my God.
I
thought you were making a joke that we usually use terms from other American sports. No, that's right.
How angry does that make you? You don't think it's better than VAR?
No.
Because VAR, I feel like gets used unnecessarily sometimes. Because it is a clear and obvious error on a call that no one cares about.
It's a fucking challenge in a soccer game. Yes, it's worse.
Oh, man. Is the game gone?
Yeah, the game's gone, mate. Only unless that we get, a chubby white dude in khakis pulling a red flag out of his sock and spiking it on the ground during play. Like that's give me a break with this.
That it's back. We will see what comes.
Just don't do reviews if you can't do VAR. If you needed to make it a challenge system.
So on the thing, by the way, of what changed and like why. Listen, it feels like from a sporting point of view, there's one person in charge of everything that's going on at Inter Miami. Maybe that extends outside of a sporting point of view. I wouldn't be shocked if that person also was like, thank you. I think you've done your time. I'm ready for new teammates.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think so, dude.
Okay.
Like, that would be, dude, could you imagine if you were like, hey, next podcast, Tom, I kind of think you should retire. And I'd be like, no, I think I'm good.
But there's a reason.
I think it's Jordi Alba's decision.
There's a reason I'm not the person at the top of the world. I do think that
CMO at the top of the world.
Joe Buck probably is like, you're done. You know what I mean? Killers survive. It's all about being hungry and a dog. I don't get up at 4 a.m. and eat raw beef.
Day one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't buy a car just so I could be top dog on the street. I'm not that guy. If I was, then maybe we'd all be doing a little bit better in life. So Messi is one of those guys, even though we like to pretend he's not. And maybe that was what it was. But it does open up 2 massive roster spots for this club. Am I safe in believing that Rodrigo De Paul is filling one of those?
Yeah. You were safe as soon as I reported that the deal was happening on a loan. You were safe to assume that that $17.5 million transfer option was getting picked up.
So that will be the Sergio Busquets quote-unquote replacement, although he plays there right now. So that's one DP spot filled. And the other is now Jordi Alba's spot, which I have thoughts on, but there are reports already around a specific player.
Yeah, so Sergio Reguilón, like that's real. Fabrizio Romano reported it. Paul Tenorio's confirmed it. That's more than enough. You don't need to hear from me on it. I don't know any details, so I'm at the risk of sounding dumb. I'd be surprised if he was a DP. Like, right, Goss? Yeah. Wouldn't that just be underwhelming? And not to sound any sort of disrespect to Reguilón, like he's a good player, like really good player, and he'll be a really good player in this league when he signs. But like, there have been questions in the chat about Neymar. Like, Neymar's flirted with Miami. Miami's flirted with Neymar. Why not? Right? Like, I don't have any information on it. His contract with Santos expires this winter, but there's an option to extend. Regardless, Neymar is somebody that we should be talking about as an option rather than a left back from Atletico Madrid. Again, with all due respect.
Yes. He got hurt again this week after getting hurt again 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, even to just preempt my own self, while like he's an obvious option, I don't even necessarily literally
You're just saying at that level.
Yeah, like much more like Neymar. And again, while I think that is a realistic possibility, I'm not. This was how many challenge flags does this stupid teams have? Sorry. For those listening on the podcast, it sounds so dumb. Italy has challenged once again. Yes, in the U20 World Cup, you can throw the challenge flag.
Get 2, and if you lose it, you lose it, and if you win, you get
sick.
It back.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait till the 97th minute and somebody breathes on somebody wrong and throw the challenge flag. Why not? This will be good for a social clip just out of nowhere. From Neymar to this to back to Neymar. Kind of my point of
Morgan already set up with that.
Again, with all due respect to Reguilón. After I go talking about, let's not talk about what Nagbe is and let's talk about what he is. Yeah. Reguilón, like that'd be a really underwhelming DP for Miami. So I'd be surprised. And like $1.8 million for Max Tam, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, the issue with that would be using a left back spot for a DP contract is a bad roster building mechanism. And it was one of the evils you accepted because Messi wanted to come play for you and he wanted his friend to play with him. And Jordi Alba is one of the greatest left backs of all time. So if your upgrade situation now coming out of this year is to just redo it with DePaul and Reguilón instead of Alba and Busquets, I don't know that the team gets that much better. And so this feels like an out for them of like, oh, now you can actually use the DP spot in a position you want to, whether that's center back, whether that's center forward. We don't have a Luis Suarez announcement in light of these two, which is interesting to me. You'd expect that one would be coming. So, I, but yes, it would feel like a downgrade for this team. Then, if they get Reguilon on a TAM contract and they get a DP, now you're talking about a team that probably has one of the most talented rosters in the league, which is what this team needs to be reliant on.
Yeah, and again, like I don't know any of this. This would be so funny if like it's like no, he's a DP and he's like $4 million, like something where like it wasn't close and like I was just completely wrong in my assumptions. But I'd be surprised. Is again with no inside information, I would just be surprised.
So, could be big changes coming for Inter Miami. It will be big changes in terms of the faces. It might be big changes in terms of the roster build. Wouldn't be shocked, and it would be interesting if there is a big name connected to all of this. And I don't know if that's a veteran going into a World Cup who's looking for minutes or wants to come and play. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of possibilities, and it would be cool to see this Inter Miami team retool things a little bit one more time with Messi. At this point, he keeps being like, "Oh, the World Cup's a year away. There's like no chance." This guy's 100% playing. Yeah, right. There's like no other situation. So he's here for at least through next summer, if not past that, through the rest of the season.
The contract that he's already agreed to is multi years. Yeah,
One thing to note, because we're talking about Messi in Argentina, I believe Argentina has moved their friendly against Puerto Rico from Chicago to Miami, where they're already playing Venezuela because of some of the chaos going on in Chicago around ICE actions. And
be careful.
Reports.
Tim Hotze has read whatever Tim has written on
go read what Tim has written. Okay. I would just say invading our own country to chase after people who are good people, who are just being good people is probably a bad idea.
Now it looks like I was disagreeing with that. I was not disagreeing with that. I wanted 3-0.
Yeah.
Thank God. I wanted to cite Hootsy's Tim Hotze's reporting.
Tim's one of our favorites, by the way.
Yes.
In the Discord. And if you're not part of the Discord, sign up for a Patreon. It gets you access to our Discord when they're talking about this game. We'll be in there talking about all the games. I will be fully honest. I fell asleep during the LAFC TFC international break midweek makeup game during the WNBA finals and MLB playoffs, I guess.
You fell asleep during the WNBA finals? No way.
I made it all the way to the end of that. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, here's LAFC's starting lineup. And I was like, I'm not going to make it through this. I might be done on this one. USA up 3-0. Of course, it's Benha. You are welcome. I told you all, he is a rumdoiter. He is the American rumdoiter. He just finds the game and scores goals. He is not the best passer. He does not win the most tackles.
I was going to say, this sounds like a nice way of saying he's not good at.
He's a weird soccer player, but he is a natural at what he's good at. And the thing he's good at is a thing that helps teams win. And I think Miami was the wrong fit for him because they're filled with players who don't play the whole game. Like, they're not well-rounded at this point. But if he had been on a different team in MLS, I think it would have been perfect for him. And I'm hoping it works out for him in Serie A. And if not, he would be one similar to how Paxton Aronson came back. Like, I don't think it'd be that big of a number. Right. But I could see him settle in really well for a team that maybe isn't spending huge on international DPs at an attacking spot. We'll talk about this game a little bit more in just a moment. Before we get there, let's talk U22s under 22s. The official list for Major League Soccer came out. A little less, celebrated maybe than in the past, but no less talented, I think, than what we've seen. The top 5 in order on the official list: Obed Vargas, number 1, Alex Freeman, number 2, Idan Toklamadi, Owen Wolf, and David Martinez. That's the top 5. We then have, of course, all the way through 22. For the most part, we've reached the point now where the bulk of players are playing fairly regularly. And then and this is how I always did it. It's towards the back end where you're like, all right, who are my highest prospects guys that I think need to be in here because they will be obvious stars in a year or two. But the league has gotten good enough at pushing the good young players or has spent enough money on some of these under 22 roster spots to bring players in who can be a factor on the team. What do you make of the list that actually came out? Because I know you have your own ballot here for us.
Yeah, I mean, So these two things go hand in hand because I'm going to say somebody was too high or somebody's too low, and it's just going to directly reference kind of my ballot. So I'll say this: number one, number two was extraordinarily easy for me in terms of a vote. Going Obed Vargas 1, Alex Freeman 2, very very obvious, very very well deserving, and those two players are going to be in Europe probably soon, definitely within the next 12 months or both. I'm still surprised that there wasn't a 8-figure, $10 million bid or something, 7 to 10 million for Obed this summer after the Club World Cup. He's long been on radars from Dutch clubs, from Wolverhampton scouted him a while ago. He's on the radar of a lot of clubs in Europe, and again, I'm surprised he's still here. So any bonus game that he plays with them is good for Seattle Sounders and their fans. And then Alex Freeman, right? Villarreal, that is looking very, very likely at some point. His contract ends after the 2026 season, so he's getting close to being able to run it down. Maybe he'll be able to just stay through the World Cup and Orlando will get compensated in some way rather than him leaving for free. But those two are the story of this list, and very, very deserving and a very, very easy decision.
And they're both examples of the pipeline that's been created. And I'm happy to knock all the issues that exist in youth development in the U.S. And Canada right now, and all the issues Major League Soccer has created and problems in MLS Next and all of this. But Obed Vargas is from Alaska, and he's stoked about players from Alaska. We interviewed him on this show at Media Day all the way back in January, and he's like, people should know about players from Alaska, but that's not an easy pipeline. But Seattle is there, as they have been in Hawaii as well, scouting, bringing players in, giving them opportunity. And I think Seattle's built one of the best pipelines of opportunity at the youth ranks, a clear definition of how they play soccer, helping players develop, helping their positional sense, putting them in the right spots, and then pushing them and challenging them. And Obed came through at a time where Josh Atencio was at the club and Danny Leva was at the club, and it was like, oh, they have center mids. And they were like, no, we have a way that we can help all these players find their spot and make it. And then remember, of course, Obed Vargas stepping into the CCL final.
16 years old.
One of the great moments ever.
Incredible. Just, I don't know, man. Like, we said it at the time, just watching him play, you would never know, unless it's somebody, well, first of all, because any kid looks like a little bit younger, right? Outside of close-ups to his face, you would have never known he was a 16-year-old.
Yeah. I love how you got there.
That took way too many words.
What is he talking about right now? And we've talked about this on the show. His favorite player ever was Ache Ache, and he's the one who told the ref, Ache Ache, just spit at you, got him sent off. Like, he's a gamer, and then he gets in the fight with Suarez and Messi, and he doesn't back down, and they win the game. So he's a special player. I love that he made the decision that was best for him in terms of U.S.-Mexico and had no questions about it.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see where his career goes and where he lands and the type of player that he becomes. But it's a huge one for Seattle. And then Alex Freeman, the same. I've covered Alex Freeman since he was at the U15 ranks. And, this is a player, and I think this is one of the things that I talk about. I don't know that he would have played right back if the MLS Academy setup didn't exist. When the concept was, how does your U15 and 17 win and go to Dallas Cup? And that was the whole focus, which again, there's not bad things with winning. He probably plays center mid or plays center forward or center back or whatever it is. And there was an understanding inside of the club of this guy's future at this position could be really, really special. And so he got shifted early, and he's now become an expert at that thing. Besides being a great soccer player, he is becoming an expert at being a right back or a right wing back or whatever that becomes. And you can see how much it matters because Mauricio Pochettino has brought him into his first 23. And so for a young player, he's in that conversation. That shows also what he's like being around him all of Gold Cup. Pochettino said, I want this guy back. So I think that's going to be a really big sign for him. Owen Wolf in this top 5, a special young player. I don't know that his ceiling is the crazy, okay, he's the best player on his team, whatever. I think he's going to be a really, really good soccer player for a long time to come.
I agree. And he's really, really good right now. And I do think that there's more potential and possibility for him. But again, you usually say this about fullbacks, like Frankie Westfield's on this list. Nathan Harrell in years
with the
past.
U20s. But,
Yeah. But like these are guys where it's just like, hey, if they don't get announced better, and they're going to get better, but if they don't get announced better, they deserve to be on this list because they were already solid and good starters. Right. Owen Wolf is already that. And maybe this is relativity just because of Austin and their little bit congested type of tack. I didn't trust a single player on that team to make a forward pass outside of Owen Wolf.
Not even Matthew McConaughey. Owen Wilson.
The Owen W, obviously.
Yeah. He's been the most. He has been the most dangerous, consistent central midfielder on that club for 2.5 years now, and that is ridiculous to say about a player like that. So yeah, he deserves to be in this. I can understand it. And only 20 years old. Yes.
Just on Owen Wolf. Do you think that really weird dude in Austin who was insisting that he was only playing because he was Josh Wolf's kid, and then immediately when he was good, he just started focusing on other fake conspiracies that were out there? What do you think he thoughts about this, or does he just continue grifting on other things?
I think I probably spent time in message boards with him talking about why Michael Bradley wasn't a nepotism pick back in 2006 and 2007 when he went on to be maybe the greatest U.S. men's national team player of all time. And that was also a conversation that was happening. And also, Gavin Wolf's even better, and he's going to be the best.
Dude,
he's going to be on the top of this list as a center back in 2 years.
People have told me that. I've been like, yo, if you think Owen's good, Gavin's a higher level prospect at the same age, and as
he's
a center
just
back,
such an outlier because he's like a skillful left-footed center back, which is just wild. The list after this one: so Quinn Sullivan, Peyton Miller, Nathan Ordaz, Luca Bombino, and Xavier Goso. I love that 2 of them are LAFC Academy players, but only 1 of them plays for LAFC. Really nailed that one. Overall, Gozo.
Do you think San Diego's going to pick up the $150,000
the option on Luca Bombino? I don't know.
We'll have to wait and find out. Sources are indicating that maybe, but I can't confirm anything at this time.
They'll probably trigger it alongside Rodrigo de Paul's option as well because, he's just a TAM player. He's not really in it for the money at all. Gozo at 10. We talked about Gozo. You've seen it at the U20 World Cup in this group. I think his size is unique for a player of his style and in his position. I think that's not why he'll be great, but I think it will help him continue to ascend and be a special player. And he is one where, again, like you said, he's already a difference maker in Major League Soccer for a team that's fighting for a playoff spot, and he's only going to get better. And he's one of the youngest players on this list. Peyton Miller as well. I think the world of Peyton Miller. I think that's another one where he was a winger in the Revs Academy. They converted him to a fullback because as a winger, he's good. And as a fullback or a wingback, he's special. And that's that opportunity you get with that further vision of saying, what is the pro potential and career of this player? And both of them have been difference makers on this U20 team. Taha Habrun, who's also on the U20 team, starting at center forward on this U20 squad. And that's just he's good on the ball. He understands the game. He isn't a center forward, and I don't think he'll end up being one. He'll have to find somewhere between a wide attacker and a 10. We just talked about Nagbe leaving. We're going to talk about Aiden Morris in a little bit with the U.S. men's national team. There's probably minutes there for Taha that he needs to fit into. Cole Moroka as well coming up in the next year for this Columbus squad.
Yeah, so Taha, I defer to you on all things Taha Bruin. While I am a fan of his, I wouldn't feign to be further ahead of you on the hype train. So again, you tell me what you think his best landing spot is, because Taha was probably the first cut. So I'm going to talk about my 22 after this, but he was probably 23 on me, just because I took exceptions for Kevin Sullivan to have him on as somebody who's not playing a ton of first team minutes right now, just because the ceiling's so high. But for the most part, my last 5 were Frankie Westfield, starter, Eli Feingold, starter, Julian Hall, rotation piece, Darren Yappy, starter now, and Ronald Doncourt, starter. So it was really tough for me, as I was I want Taha Habrun on here, but I was I can't find somebody to drop.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. I think Hall's the one where he's not a full-time starter, but he's even younger, and he's made more of a difference in MLS already. I think of those players, the hope would be that Taha finishes above most of them as a difference maker, because of what he's capable of. He's capable of being the best player on the field.
At what position? Where do you see it in your eyes?
If you have a setup with like 2 8s in front of a 6, I think that's the dream situation for Taha, where he doesn't have to cover all the ground by himself and be like the first point of pressing all the time alone, and he's able to play off of someone, but then has enough influence to control the game from a central position and move things around. I don't think he's a winger, and I don't think that's like the best place for him to end up.
I agree.
But for a young player trying to get on the field, it's not always easy. A couple ones that stand out to me, I think Makanya finishing at 13th is a little bit low. I know
That's
he's
a joke, man.
Yeah, he's 21. He's probably closer to the player he will be. I can understand that, but he also just won a supporter shield because he's one of the best center backs in the league. I think Eli Feingold at 17 makes a lot of sense. Like he's been, one of the best young signings and consistent, and right in front of Frankie Westfield, who probably got a little bit of a bump for the U20 action if the votes came in whenever they did, as well as I think the success of Philadelphia, but had a really good start to the year. Overall, like I don't have complaints about anyone on the list. I think everyone on the list deserves to be in the conversation. But I don't know that they 100% are better than some other players that you have options at.
Yeah, so I think the biggest snub for me by just looking at my list is Thomas Gillier from Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily even blame people for leaving him off because people aren't really watching that team. It's a small sample size for him. So I know that I'm kind of going on a limb here for him, but like I'm so very impressed with this kid, and I just think he'll be in Bologna sooner rather than later. Like this is a Bologna signing that's getting time at Montreal, and I don't know. I think he's really, really good, and I think that was the only like miss, right? Because we can quibble with like again, I have Doncourt. I think he should have been on here, but like it's not crazy. It's not some really awful thing that people missed. For me, I quibble with the rankings, and Makanya is the biggest for me. I had Makanya third because he's going to be in Europe for big money, probably this winter, if not next summer. And he's been a dominant center back on the best team in the league this year, and that should really lead you to be top 5. Again, I had him third. Toklamati, I had 5. A lot of people had him third. I think that's the right range for him because of what he showed. I do think that the underlyings are there to go with the performances he's had.
Yeah.
Manu Dua from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a source about him. I was like, hey, like I really like him, but hey, I have Makanya ahead of him. Kind of what am I missing? And it's like, no, like I get it. Like, I would put Dua ahead of him, but it's one of those where you could see it either way. But it was like, hey, like I know Champions League clubs are coming and scouting him, Manu Dua right now. Like I know that. And that's a pretty strong signal to, Champions League clubs probably know more about scouting and player development than I do. So yeah, I had him 7, and even that, like I went Toklamati 5, Quinn Sullivan 6, and Manu Dua 7. And I kind of thought the top 7, really the top 9, going Peyton Miller, Luca Bombino, was pretty ironclad. And you could quibble with the like anywhere between 3 and 9 for me. Mm-hmm. You could talk me into a different ranking. But 1, 2, Obed, Alex Freeman, and then those 9 were kind of the ones that I felt strongest about. Xavier Gozo, I had a 15. He was a tough one because I think he's so good. There hasn't been quite the same amount of time in the first team, though he's gotten plenty. That this is one of those that will look really silly in a year if he's on a $7 million transfer to France or something like that, right? So, but then it's like right next to him, I have David Martinez. Gozo has done more than Martinez.
Yep.
I don't know which one of them has a higher ceiling. I think Gozo has a higher floor, but Martinez might have a higher ceiling. So this is just a really difficult.
Flip that.
Would you? Really?
Yeah. I've been very underwhelmed by Martinez, and I think the platform for him to be good has been there, which is there's a lot of space to run into. You got a lot of 1v1 chances. Buanga's pushing the attack now. Son's pushing the attack. He's been there for a while in spots where he should succeed, and I don't think he's elevated to the levels that I expected. So now I'm in a situation where I'm like, I know he's good. I know he's talented. I see it. I don't know that he will ever be a factor week in and week out and a game-dominating player. And I think Gozo could be. But Martinez has played more pro minutes, which you can trust over what Gozo has. But this is the pain points in all of this.
Yes,
it's exactly. Like you're comparing players off different categories. Is it potential? Is it future transfer value? Is it current transfer value? This is one thing I was yelling about yesterday, and I've yelled about this every year, is like one of the things that you have to think about in all of this is that transfer value? Because that's like how players a lot of times are judged. Some players that are brought into Major League Soccer for multi-million dollars, that is more than a player will ever generate in their whole career. And like, is that what you're voting on, or is that a team in MLS being stupid?
Tomas Aviles got me there.
Yeah. Apparently he was, what, 6 on your list last year?
It was like, it's tough. It was like 7 or something. It was bad. I was pulling up my list for this year to reference, and I accidentally saw mine from last year. And already within a year, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
Let's talk about this one, because in the chat we have a question from Sumarai Shamal who says, where will Kevin Sullivan be on the list next year? I want to give a tip of the cap to voters this year for not putting him in just because he's someone they've heard of. You did?
Yeah.
What number?
13.
Interesting. Okay.
The ceiling is so far higher than just about everybody, and like, I'd rather go down with if he doesn't make it, and I'll feel silly about it than not having him.
I think that's fine. I think my thinking would have just been, I'll put him in a different year, like when he plays in Major League Soccer. But I don't disagree with you in what I was going to say, which is he is still the best prospect that's come out of an MLS academy probably ever. So in the last 15 plus years, he's the best prospect to ever come out. It's not easy. This is why 15-year-olds don't play professional soccer very often. But I don't hate on you for that, but I'm glad he didn't end up on the list. So I think this is like probably the right way this should have gone. And Quinn Sullivan did. So shout out to Quinn Sullivan. Unfortunate about the ACL injury. I think we're all pained about that one. And it was obviously a blight on the Supporters Shield win, which I got feedback saying we talked about that for too long. And I was like, didn't they win the Supporters Shield? Isn't that like the whole point of the whole thing? So I thought that was really, really funny.
Disregard that.
Many of these players fighting to make it in with the U.S. men's national team, as well as with the U20s, maybe one day at a U20 World Cup. The U.S. playing against Ecuador, that one coming up tomorrow. For the U20s, they will face the winner of Morocco against South Korea, which I believe is occurring right now or will be starting in about an hour. So still waiting for the last opponent, and then that will be the last team in the bracket moving to the next round. They will then play the winners of Norway against France in the other quarterfinal in a semifinal if they're lucky enough to make it. France, obviously a team that the U.S. knocked off in the group stage. We have a special guest coming in with us here as we do a little bit of a combo action. So we are combining Soccer-Wise and Kickback Committee on this one.
Now
What's
I
up,
can't
Suze?
hear anyone.
And now Susanna cannot hear anyone at all. So Susanna's going to go work on her tech, but she's here with us. And we are going to talk a little bit about Maine, which is our 50 state this week, as well as this U.S. men's national team. The Maine hat is kind of a perfect part for all of this because it makes Suze feel like someone who probably would have tech problems with everything else going on. And if it makes her feel better, I was the one who had the tech problems in the pre-show, and we did a whole 7 minutes that no one ever heard. On top of all of that, Tom, let's do USMNT while we're waiting for Suze, and let's go into what you're watching for. Ecuador is the best opponent they've played. I think they're better than Japan and South Korea, and this is quote unquote your best team because you're bringing in more options of players that you have. What are you looking for? What does this camp sort of mean to you?
Yeah, this is going to be a really difficult opponent, and just really missing Tyler Adams, which is the most significant absence. And he's, again, as we've covered, he's having a kid. So that will color it. But for the most part, like you said, Goss, seems to be who Poch wants or who Poch is thinking about for the World Cup squad. And this is a very important game in terms of a friendly. And all there are is friendlies before the World Cup, as we've long discussed. So my biggest thing that I'm looking for is back three or back four. I hope it's a back three. I think it's going to be back three based on the players who have been brought in, one of which being Mark McKenzie, who has excelled in a back three since he's went to Europe, since he left the Philadelphia Union.
Give Mark McKenzie a shot.
I would love to see him get some minutes. So that's what I'm hoping, first and foremost, just kind of stylistically, that we see it like that. Because I think that this just puts the best players in their best positions on the field, and it lets Pulisic not totally be a winger, but not totally be a 10, but the wing backs to, like, they don't have to fully be wingers, but they don't also have to fully be fullbacks, and those are the strengths in this team, and it gives you the structure with which to attack, which should lead to more freedom and creativity, which we saw against Japan. We shall see if that continues to play out, because there are fair points that Japan weren't starting their best 11, and hey, maybe this was a red herring.
Yeah, right.
And we're reading too much into the great performance against what could have been a lesser team. I still think that Japan's side was solid and good. It's not as if they were nobodies. It wasn't a January camp where we were playing, Venezuela's D team or insert anything like that. So I'm more along the lines that was real what we saw. Maybe not to the full extent, but I think we're going to get into the test against Ecuador. And the thing that I'm most looking forward to is that formation.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. Mark McKenzie was one of the things I had written down. Really excited to see him step into this. I think his combination of passing, defending, and his comfort in the formation can be a huge factor, and I think he should win this spot as a third center back, and that opens up a lot of doors for Pochettino to now have two systems, because he already trusts Ream and Richards. I think alongside each other, this is more helping other people, getting Dest and Jedi into wing-back positions, which allows them to play a little bit higher. Maybe it opens up pressure, takes a little pressure off some central midfield options, because you've got that third center back staying home most often. So maybe you're able to go and play a more attacking 2 setup. Or maybe Weston McKennie can hang higher alongside a natural 10, whatever it ends up being. So I think and then you have both. And so I think it ends up in a situation where the team's better off if that's the case. So I hope we see Mark McKenzie. I hope we see it against Ecuador. To me, that's the better opponent. That's the more dangerous opponent.
I totally agree.
And that's the one where it's go for it here and then work on some stuff the rest of the weekend, and maybe you shift things a little bit more against Australia. But yeah, that's the game to me. And then the other huge thing that I'm looking at is central midfield. I talked about this a little bit on Monday's show, but I want to see Tanner Tessman get an opportunity, or Aiden Morris. I want to see someone play in place of Tyler, obviously, because it's necessary, but also show maybe that they can either play with him, or that you can sort of have that 2 defensive midfield setup. And all of that's going to be reliant on one of those players playing forward passes and trying to break lines and trying to be aggressive. It just becomes too slow and safe over time when those players, when we've had a setup like that alongside Tyler. And Tyler can change the game in ways, right? He can go and press and break up the game and use his energy and make runs out of midfield, and that can change the shape, but he's not going to be the line breaking passer consistently. So someone else has to do it. And I think there's a good opportunity in the pool of players that are here. And maybe it's Christian Roldan. Like Mauricio Pochettino has shown, if he likes you and he gives you chances and you perform, he'll give you another chance.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's really interesting, all of these decisions. And I hope Roldan has some time. Again, I don't know if he's somebody that's going to elevate the 11, and I understand why we might want to see. Tessman is somebody that I hope gets a real run here and a real chance, because he's been so good with Lyon, and he was good last year, and particularly in the second half of the season. I was surprised not to see him really before now, and I hope that while he's here, he does get a chance to be with the starting group or play. But again, particularly in this game against Ecuador, I want to see how he might handle that. And the Ecuadorian midfield, I think, is very strong. There are a lot of very good players. This team is just. I think this team really represents a World Cup quality opponent.
Yeah. So Jedi, Zendejas, and Pulisic did not train today. So their status is questionable for the game against Ecuador. That would obviously open up minutes for some other people to get an opportunity, but those would be big losses in terms of saying, what's your best 11, and getting to see a Tessman or an Aiden Morris or a James Sands alongside those players, because I think you really want to see them in their connections with those other players. So I think that would be obviously a huge loss. And for Jedi, I think they had already said going into this window, he's not going to play both games because he's still working his way back from injury. So they're going to have to manage him anyway. So maybe it flips and it becomes that Jedi plays the second game and doesn't play the first game. And that opens up opportunities for guys like we've talked about with Alex Freeman. Maybe he gets the start. And then Arfston obviously is someone who I'm a huge fan of, who no one else likes except for Mauricio Pochettino, and his opportunity to get a chance in that. But Arfston's one of the guys where if he's going to play, it's going to be in a back 5. So if they're testing that out, if McKenzie gets the start, if they're playing the 3 center backs, now he gets an opportunity to show what he does at his best.
This was my whole argument with him.
I know it was.
Was that in a back 4, I don't like it. In a back 5, I do like it. Or back 3, where he gets to play winning back. So, and he was getting the opportunities in a back 4, which I didn't love.
I still cannot hear you guys. This is driving me nuts.
Susanna's here
I
for
got a
FC.
new laptop.
And my guy Tom has
Thinking everything was going to be peachy.
My guy Tom has to go in a
What
minute
the heck?
as well.
Oh, there he is.
You can hear us.
Hey, what's up, Suze?
Hi, Tom. Woo!
The dramatic
Wow.
laughter.
That was an adventure, kids.
Do you
But
love
we're here.
technology?
She knows how to make an entrance.
I love technology. No, I got a new laptop, and I've been.
Congrats to the
I
laptop.
thank you. I know, and I am thinking that everything is just going to be in like tip-top shape, and then for whatever reason, there's like little quirks that I'm still figuring out clearly, but I'm here. Better late than never, right? It's like fashionably late showing up at the party. Also, I had you guys, I'm watching you guys, but I had you on mute in case you let me in. So I haven't really been able to hear what you guys are talking about.
That's
So
so
cool.
nice.
Yeah, I've often said the best part of Goss and I is not hearing us and just looking at our
We need closed captioning on YouTube.
I don't think they keep up with me.
We had someone in the chat
Unintelligible
today
screaming.
Italian yelling. We had someone in the chat today from Brazil who was translating questions into the chat.
No
and
way.
Saying, I will go back and translate the show when you're done to hear if you answered me. Let me know if you answered me.
Get out of here.
I'm assuming that was just a plea to be answered.
You think so? You think I got schooled?
I think if we said we're going to answer your question now, you'd be like, okay, cool, I'll do the timestamp.
Whoa.
It was about Neymar.
Tom, you've lived in these streets longer than me. You know this transfer game.
I'm just cynical.
Foreign fans reaching out to you, being like announced signing of someone you've never heard of.
When I announced I was leaving Give Me Sport, and I was like, hey, I'll provide an update soon. Kind of what's next? Somebody replied to the tweet was like, hey, at Tom Bogert, any at Tom Bogert news? Because usually it's just doesn't matter what I've tweeted. It's like, hey, any FC Dallas news? All right, man.
I love that. Well, Susanna, thanks for being here with us.
Hi, guys. Great to be here.
Seriously, I got to make a
Thanks
shift
for having
change.
me.
I feel bad for leaving when you get here.
Tom has a playoff volleyball game he has to go to.
Wait, what? Volleyball?
I don't actually.
Oh, God. I was
That's
like,
over.
But you're a men's league champion. Now you're trying to conquer the volleyball
won
world.
last night.
I get it.
We won last night. Sorry.
Well done.
All right, Tom.
Well, have so much fun, guys. Always a pleasure.
Bye, Tommy.
Suze, we've been talking about the U.S. men's national team and the games
Obviously.
coming up. We talked about some lineup stuff and what we want to see. But we have a U20 team that won a game. We got a quarterfinal. It's exciting.
It's exciting.
I have said a couple times, this doesn't mean everything. People want it to, and that's great. But that's not the reality to me of the setup anymore. But yay for teams winning and teams for us to root for and keep going forward.
I think so. I mean, and if you ask our fearless leader, John Parker, he would say that this is the real World Cup happening
Which is a problem
right
for
now.
him. Yeah.
Says more about him than,
Yeah, exactly.
anything.
Than the actual setup.
But yeah, anytime the U.S. is winning at any level, it's a very positive thing. And it looks like there were some pretty positive takeaways from their performance against Italy. I was able to watch most of the first half, and then second half I was kind of peeking in and out.
Yeah.
But looks like they were sitting back a lot in the second half and this trying to work it on the counter, which fine and
Worked out, yeah.
And a couple of VAR challenges that didn't go Italy's way.
Tom doesn't want to talk about that because they're not VAR challenge. They're
What are they?
They're like NFL style challenges.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about this because
So
I'm
that was- so both
I'm
of
kind
these
of
were-
fascinated by this.
So this was very obvious that Italy was down 1-0 and then
Okay.
2-0, and their coach challenged for PKs for anything that looked like contact.
Is
in the
there a
box.
flag that they throw?
I don't actually know how they initiate it. They probably tell the fourth official. It would make the most sense since
Okay.
they're already assigned to talk to them and they're required to talk
hey,
to them.
yeah.
But this was Tom's point. Tom was very angry, except if there was someone pulling a red flag out of a high white tube sock and throwing it on the field.
Wow. I mean, that's kind of I need the visual. I want the action and a yellow flag like an NFL. I think
Yeah.
that would just make it more exciting.
I love that I'm in Blue Sky sort of looking at what people think, and you
Yeah.
already have the can these guys just start for the national team at the World Cup next year?
I
Which is
do-
great.
It is
I'm
great.
I'm happy for people to feel positive about anything. And I will say, the U.S. has had teams at the 17s and 20s level. It feels like, for sure, over the last 10 years. And I think back to there was a U17 team that Timothy Weah was a part of, Josh Sargent was a part of, that came out of the failure to make the 18 World Cup, which was like the first bright moment of like, oh, the future can be bright. And I understand.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah, and I understand how important it is for people. It would be really nice to have a team break through finally to a final in a moment where it's like the sport should be growing and should be noticed in a way. I think it would do more good PR-wise than it would soccer-wise. Like, I don't think it changes our reality as a national team going forward if these guys make a final. But the point in all of that is, like, they are toe-to-toe with all of these teams.
Yeah.
So you're talking about knockout tournaments, 50-50s, flip of the coin. Like, sometimes it falls for you, sometimes it doesn't. And that's been the case for the most of the groups going to tournaments at these age groups for a little while now. But it has not fallen for them. And it would be really, really nice if this was a year going into a World Cup year where the team's hosting and there's nothing for that team to be able to, like, prove, right? Even if the U.S. wins friendlies, it would fall to, well, they're just friendlies. So if the U20s can help a little bit, that would be really, really nice. Nick Murray puts in the chat the last time they made a semifinal was 1989, I think 99.
Oh, wow.
Landon Donovan made a semifinal at the U17 levels.
Okay.
And maybe there's one other team that's gotten there otherwise, but I don't believe so. So it would be really, really cool if that ended up happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. We love good things for them. Do we know who they play next?
No. So we are waiting for Korea to play Morocco in about
Okay.
an hour, and then that will be the opponent. If they win, there's a decent chance they get matched up against France again, which is a team that they won against 3-0 against in the group stage. So
Okay. There's a blueprint.
otherwise, they'll play Norway, which Anders has told me is a terrible team and could never win. So I assume that's the case. You've got the main hat on.
I do. I have, and the main flag.
The hat,
hoodie.
though, is that airport buy?
No, it was not an airport buy. This was a very fun little boutique in Kennebunkport, Maine. And Ian and I both bought. We were so taken by the state of Maine that we bought like all the merch that we could. And do you know their flag?
Is that?
This is their flag.
Yeah, it's a
like,
great flag.
It's awesome. Like, that is a great flag.
Is
Just
that a
with, like,
move
the star.
that you do?
No, never. It's only because I loved the state so
You're
much.
really.
When I told you that it's in my top 3 states, like, that's the truth. I love it.
Okay.
I'm a really big Maine fan. So this sweatshirt though freaks me out because every time I look down, I think I have like a napkin, like tucked in,
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh no.
Oh,
I
fancy
don't.
meal, spaghetti and meatballs.
That's it.
We talked about Made a Bit on Tuesdays. For anyone here listening to Soccer Wise right now on our podcast feed, if you've never listened to Kickback Committee, it is a show that Susanna hosts for us every Tuesday. It comes out for the most part. Next week will be on Wednesday early because of the U.S.-Australia game, being able to react to that. I am on it very often with you.
Yes,
we do every Thursday a happy hour, which we decided to cross them over because the U20s were playing. Me and Tom were going to do a show around that anyway, and the timing worked out perfectly. So for anyone listening on Kickback, if you've never listened to Soccer Wise, you can go listen to that. That's kind of what you've been hearing for the last hour or so in your head. And we talked about Darlington Nagbe for a while at the start of the show. Retiring.
I mean, this guy, I would argue that he will go down as the best MLS player in league history. I think,
like pure soccer player.
Pure soccer player. I think he is.
Like that take.
I think he is.
Does this
so
include
spectacular.
Messi? This doesn't include Messi.
Okay, that doesn't. That's
I
like
know.
a different. That
That's-
is. Yeah,
yeah.
No, I'm talking about a pure MLS guy. Like, literally, I think he is the best that has ever played in this league. He is the complete footballer. What a freaking career. The man, he won everywhere he went and did it so, I don't know, he's just so silky. He made it look effortless and easy, and it's not like, his quality was so good. I feel like we need to have like in the same way we have like a Landon Donovan MVP award, like there needs to be an award after after Darlington, or a statue in Columbus. I don't know, something like there needs to be. He needs to be memorialized in that way, because I think he is that special of a player.
You mentioned he's won everywhere, which we had said the 4 MLS Cups he won with 3 different clubs. He also won an Open Cup with Atlanta, and he won a national championship at Akron. So he has really won everything.
Literally everywhere. At every level.
On top of everywhere. The greatest fact about him, which I didn't mention in the Open when we talked about it, is so over the course of what will end up being a 15-year MLS career, he has scored 38, 39 goals. So not like a huge number.
Yeah.
He has one goal.
I'm surprised at how low that
because it wasn't
is.
really his game, but he finished with goal of the year twice. And like that's Darlington Nagbe in a nutshell. Was like he didn't throw up stats, but when he did it in a way that no one else was capable of. To your point of like that pure soccer player and what he can do, and he's an awesome one. We haven't done Ohio yet for our 50 states, so when we do Ohio, he will very clearly be in there. I don't know that many Akron players ended up being from Ohio, so he will probably be an outlier in a lot of that. Mm-hmm. But I think that state's going to be like a good soccer state because you just have soccer history there forever. Bob Bradley technically went to Ohio University, but he didn't grow up there. I think he's from New Jersey. And I guess he wouldn't count as a soccer player being good because that's not the thing he's famous for.
No.
The thing he's famous for is coaching. We have Maine as our 50th state because thanks to all the gear. We got 5-a-side. We got a lot of recommendations. We got a lot of bar recommendations.
We did.
And I think that's probably why Maine is one of your 3 favorite states. It was the only category that we got recommendations from people. So I think it tells the story of what people do in Maine and why it might be really, really fun to visit. On the 5-a-side, we mentioned a few of these names last time. Roger Levesque, we got hands down.
Yes.
There was someone on Instagram named @Andrew Farrell who said that Wyatt Omsberg needs to be on there. So shout out to Andrew Farrell.
Wait, our Andrew Farrell?
Yeah. On the gram, taking care of his guys. I absolutely
love that guy.
Yeah. Talk about an MLS lifer and an MLS legend. So we got that. We got Ben Brewster, who is currently head coach of UMass, I believe, soccer. Played a little bit in USL.
Okay.
And is from Maine originally as well. We got Sarah D. Apolloni, who was 3-time
Apollonia.
I didn't get I didn't have it fully.
Do you know how I know that? Because the girlfriend in Godfather, Al Pacino's girlfriend that dies in the car. Spoiler alert! If you haven't watched Godfather, boom.
You're just 45 years late.
Sorry, guys. Well, if you haven't watched Godfather, then seriously, come on now. Get with the program. But that's Apollonia. So, Apollonia.
Yeah, she ended up being multi-time player of the year in Maine. Went on to play and currently plays in the German 2nd division. So,
she's currently playing.
Yeah. Played at Delaware, played in Australia, and then plays currently in the German 2nd division, which is a pretty cool thing to do, and I wish that was something I was doing. Then on the 4th one, we didn't have a name, but we did get a recommendation.
Okay.
And one of them is Gabe Hoffman Johnson, who is...
Is he the main founder of
yes.
Portland
So it turns out
okay.
he played D1 soccer, which is awesome. Played at Dartmouth, I believe. Also, I think if you start a soccer team and it's really successful and there's not an obvious other name, I think it's okay to be that person. So,
absolutely. Especially one that as cool as Portland Hearts of Pine.
So I guess that gets you in, and I'm okay with that one. And then we've got a million options on bars. One of them is Bissell Brothers, which is a famous brewery / bar that shows all of the games, which I believe they sell their beer like literally everywhere. Mm-hmm. I think I buy it in Miami right now. So they make really good beer, so I like that for them.
Love that.
There is a show that is recorded out of Dewey's once a week, a Portland Hearts of Pine podcast. So
cool.
It's like a pretty committed soccer bar if you're letting people do that. But there are watch parties at Portland Zoo, Kick City Sports Pub, and Opry as well, which is a great name for a sports bar.
Are these all in Portland then?
These are all
Portland bars?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't notice any maybe soccer specific bars in like Kennebunkport.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was like an Irish pub, which I'm sure probably shows soccer. But I feel like Portland is probably going to be the soccer hub
If
for the
anyone
state
has
of Maine.
If anyone has Bangor or Bar Harbor recommendations, please let us know.
I do. I have Bar Harbor recommendations for you.
Alexi, turn on the kitchen lights.
Preferably
Sorry, I was talking to
somewhere,
Alexis.
somewhere that has lobster rolls. I mean, most places have lobster rolls in Maine.
Yes.
Because that's what they do there.
That's what they do best.
In case you didn't
and
know.
we didn't get any hallowed ground lore or youth club recs.
So
we're still looking.
It's got, I mean, I will tell, and I know I'm like going off of one match that I went to, but
Do it. You're an expert.
No, but
You're wearing the hat and the sweatshirt.
the Portland Hearts of Pine match that I went to, the stadium that they play at is like this like community kind of, I think you had said like they play like high school like state finals there. And it's so cool. It's so cool because it's got that kind of like old school nostalgic feeling. But then they've done such a remarkable job with like all of the signage and the very cool Portland Hearts of Pine branding everywhere and food trucks like lining up and down the streets and even like in and around the actual stadium. And then I think I told you on Kickback Committee that they have all these places for you can ride. They encourage people to ride their bikes to the matches. So like all of this like bike parking. But it's cool. It's got like this like really cool kind of old school vibe that I would be shocked if that was not considered one of the hallowed grounds.
So I fully agree with you, and I think that is where we should land because it has put soccer in the region on the map.
Yeah.
I think it has elevated the game and all of that. This is one where I'm seeding this now for like in 10 years.
Okay.
When we come back together and we do a 50 states recap, which is that stadium was getting worked on to start the year. Mm-hmm. And so the opening 2 rounds of the Open Cup were played in Lewiston, Maine at an actual high school. And I talked to Bobby Murphy, the coach of the team, about it. Mm-hmm. I think on the US Soccer podcast, and he was like, oh, they were awesome. Like they were like, yeah, what can we do to help? They set it up for the game, all that stuff. That's one of those things. That's like lore stuff where it's like, 100. That's not the hallowed ground right now, but in the future when it's like Portland Hearts of Pine hit big and it changed the sport and all of that, you'll think back to like, wow, that Open Cup run was a huge part of it out the gate. And that ended up being a huge part of it. And so I think that's Fitzpatrick Stadium is what Nicholas Murphy is saying. No, that's where they actually play, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's where they actually
play. That's what it's called.
I just thought that was a cool story.
That is a very cool story.
And that's why soccer in America is fun and quirky and weird.
Hey, guess who won Knox are playing on tomorrow?
What would be it? Let's say I was the. What do you call yourself for One Knox? The number one fan?
Yeah.
First lady?
The first lady of One.
Okay. Have you never thought about this phrase before?
No, never.
Interesting.
Never. No, I barely consider myself a wag, even though.
Yeah.
Technically.
No, I think we need a better nickname for it. I think there needs to be like a first manager type thing. Mm-hmm. What would you put on the line against a Portland fan version of you? Or like whoever their first lady or first man is.
Oh, man.
First gentleman.
First gentleman. That's a good, I'm trying to think. I'm
going to start making you do this every week, by the way. Like when the mayors like bet on something on like the World
Yes,
Series,
I know. Like, and I'm trying to think like what is like, it's all I think about is like UT. Oh, I know. So this is kind of a quirk of Knoxville or like East Tennessee in general. People like there are pancake houses.
Love that.
Everywhere. And like if
independent or international house. Okay.
Independent. So if you go, Pigeon Forge, which is where Dollywood is, which is highly recommend. And then Gatlinburg, which is kind of another touristy sort of town with a whole bunch of like different attractions. It's kind of like the gateway to the Smokies. And so there's a lot of like water parks and things for families and stuff like that. I kid you not, there are at least 25 different pancake houses between Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And it is why. Like, I'm like, they must love their flapjacks down here. So it would probably be some sort of bet involving, like, you have to eat like a stack of flapjacks, something like that. Because that feels very like East Tennessee. Because otherwise, it's like UT. I don't know. There's just a lot of.
All right, we're gonna work on this. I think we need to, because I want to have something for when we get to the playoffs.
Oh my God.
Which is why all of this is a big game and there's a lot on the line. You are currently, can I say that? Or
yeah.
Okay.
No.
One Knox is currently in second place, 1 point behind the Chattanooga Red Wolves. And
Don't get me started, Gus.
Portland is currently in sixth. They are 2 points up on South Georgia, and they are 1 point behind our beloved Union Omaha, with a game in hand against Spokane that is going to happen in 2 weeks in a midweek.
Yes, exactly.
Game in hand on Spokane.
Yes. So this is what. So I will tell you, Portland have lost their last 2 matches. Before that, though, Goss, they were unbeaten in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches. Like, they went on a run, and 6 of those were wins. So all of a sudden, Portland was like started like really creeping up the standings, and then these last 2 results kind of hurt them. But what happened is I think this was in August. Spokane was supposed to travel to Portland for a match. Now, when we're speaking on geography here of the United States of America, Spokane is like up here.
Yeah.
And Portland is here. It is a very, very the travel.
One of the farthest trips in professional sports.
100%.
Because there's no way you're going direct.
No way you're going direct.
You're probably transferring 3 times.
At the very least, or you're driving 4 hours to like a bigger airport where you can maybe get a direct flight from there. I mean, the travel.
You're like flying to Boston and driving.
Exactly. The travel's tough. The travel is certainly tough. So I think what happened is there was some bad weather somewhere, and Spokane got stuck in Denver, I believe. And so they missed their flight. Their flight got canceled and they couldn't get to Spokane. So it's coming at a very interesting time, the rescheduling of this, because we are literally on the brink of playoffs. And the teams that finish the top 4 spots in USL League One get to host a playoff match. So that's huge for anyone. So literally, like, Knoxville, like, they really blew an opportunity to kind of like take hold of things last weekend. They lost to Richmond, and Richmond aren't very good. Credit to them. They were great. It has been, but finishing top 4 would be massive, because One Knox has not hosted a playoff game ever. This would be their first time hosting it. So if they can stay within the top 4,
you get the huge event.
It'd be really, really huge. So Portland still have a chance. Like, Portland can get in the mix of top 4 because they're kind of in that striking distance area.
You know, when you started telling the story about the travel, there was 2% of me that was like, someone booked the trip to Portland, Oregon, didn't they? Like, they ended up in the wrong Portland,
100.
which would have been a lot easier. I think there was an NYCFC fan who was trying to go to San Jose, Costa Rica for a CCL game and ended up in San Jose, California.
Oh no.
Which is unreal.
Is that that's a real story?
True story, yeah. Fully true story. And I do think it was the year that LAFC hosted CCL games at LA. So he wasn't that far off from that situation, but that was not the point at all. Speaking of all of this, congratulations to Viking TX, who said they got their World Cup tickets today.
Well done!
Unreal. I've gotten a few texts or calls. I've got some panicked calls from people being like, I just got in. What do I do?
Yeah.
So, like, take a look at the skit. If you get the email, congratulations for starters. I have consigned myself to the fact that I won't.
Same.
Which, great. I'm going to love the World Cup anyway. We're going to watch all the games. We're going to do a lot of shows and all that type of stuff. But have a little bit of a battle plan when you get into the portal. So if you don't live in a city that's hosting, that especially is like, figure it out. I had a friend who did a really good job. He bought 2 tickets in Seattle. The games are 5 days apart. So it's like, go to Seattle for a week.
That's super smart. Yeah, you're right. You do have to be strategic and kind of have at least a semi-plausible plan in place before you go after these. But I didn't realize. So my understanding was that there was like one round of emails.
Yeah, you thought the emails last week was the end.
Was it? And then people on my timeline are like, I just got my email. So then I frantically go into my inbox searching FIFA. Nothing.
Yeah. There was a line said that there are still 5 million tickets available for sale coming out of last week. I don't know how that's possible.
Do you think, though, Gus, is it possible that their initial plan was to just do the one email, but then maybe ticket sales weren't what they thought it was going to be, and they're like, oh, maybe we should let a few more people get a chance?
Because I think the tickets, based off the dynamic pricing, went fast. I think they're trying to stage it out, because if they didn't, all the tickets would have sold out within 20 hours of the World Cup ticketing opening before the draw even happened. And they are restricting some, because you have to assume there's official fan base tickets for every country.
Yeah.
So that's like the stuff behind the goals where the like true supporter, like those are all normally organized, and the federations get those tickets. We don't even know who's in yet, let alone who has the draw. So not all of the tickets are even available right now. But no, I don't think that that's what it was. I think that this, I don't want to say plan, because based off everyone's screenshots of the website falling apart on them, I don't know that plan's the right word to use on all of this. But if you are getting in, congratulations, because it's going to be pretty cool and pretty special. And I kind of forgot about all of that part of the excitement as we were like waiting for it to happen.
I know. And now suddenly we're in it. Didn't you say, though, too, that you had seen, or one of your friends had seen that tickets in Vancouver were actually not that expensive?
They were $1,000 Canadian cheaper than tickets in Toronto, and they were like $250. I think someone was telling me the cheapest in Boston today was like $330 for upper deck in a corner.
Okay.
And then
that's still expensive, but
it's all still expensive.
Yeah, it's just so funny, though, because when you see like the tier 1 prices, and then you're like, oh, 500, it's like they like Jedi mind trick you into thinking this is all.
They're like, it's not 1,200, and you're like, oh yeah, no, it's free.
Totally.
Yeah.
Basically free.
Someone was telling us this week, and I don't know how true it is, that tickets in Mexico are more in line with what they have historically been. So historically, World Cup tickets were like $60, $90, $150 for the 3 categories. Then you got into hospitality stuff, because that was more in line with the economies in a Brazil and a Russia. I don't even know what the economy is in Russia, but that's why.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what ended up happening in Qatar, because I did not go to Qatar. And I was told that that's more in line with like what Monterrey and Guadalajara have been priced at, but I don't know. So if anyone's inside, we are just as curious as everyone.
Completely.
If anyone's inside the portal that's an American, let us know if you can buy tickets for Canada and Mexico, or is it only for U.S. games?
That's a great question. Yeah, we need you guys to
do our research.
Do a little reconnaissance for us, because we need to know. Also, like, apparently now there's a bunch of other resale options. Like, there's other companies that are offering like ways to like American Airlines. Apparently. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wait,
great. I moved to Miami when I did, because now I'm an American Airlines person.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you have the credit card?
I do not. I have no airlines credit card. I should
probably get that credit card, because I have the Delta one, and it does help.
Suze, I just came out of a family trip, which means we talked about points and credit card plans for 48 hours. You are killing me. But you are probably correct, and you are probably right. Okay, so all of us are watching One Knocks on Friday night. There's MLS, NWSL all weekend. MLS, of course, it's international break, so not as much. I will be at the game in Austin for the U.S. men's national team.
Oh, fun.
Yes, so I will be there. So if you're around, hit me up on Blue Sky. Come say hi, or I will come say hi to you. And I'll be posting some videos on the SoccerWise feed, on the Kickback Committee, on Instagram, Blue Sky, everywhere as well, that whole time. And then there are these weird MLS games because of makeups, which are all really important for the playoffs. So myself and Tom will be back on Monday morning. We'll do a little reaction to the national team. On SoccerWise, we will be doing as well some talk big picture around MLS, getting you ready for the Tuesday night game. And then we have Kickback Committee coming back on Wednesday morning, where we will be sort of like recapping, reacting, not just to the US, but the World Cup, because we will have at least 9 teams out of Africa. We should probably know a little bit more what's going on in Europe.
Okay.
Coming out of this, and we might have teams locked in from CONCACAF as well coming out of this round by Wednesday, which will be pretty cool.
It will be very cool. Yeah, it's funny. My mother-in-law, who listens to everything that we do, she was so excited that you and I were talking about all the sort of qualifying stuff on Kickback this week, because she was like, she's like, it's starting to feel real, and she's like, it's getting excited. So we're tapping into it, Gus.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about it.
We talked about Cape Verde on the show.
We did. Thank you.
And they won. So
they did.
So they clinched their spot at a minimum right now in the playoff.
In the playoff.
But probably they will have clinched their spot in the World Cup.
And remind me, the playoff is happening in March? Intercontinental playoff?
Africa, it is happening in November, because then the winner of the playoff will go to that playoff in March.
There we go.
Yeah. And we have a fan, Mason Bass, Bass in the chat, who says a friend, an Austin FC friend, got tickets in Monterrey via the US portal.
Okay.
So maybe that is available, and I would recommend for people to do that, because
I've heard great things about Monterrey as well.
Yes, and I have been to Guadalajara. City, amazing. Stadium, great. Location, terrible, which is just the nature of going to sports now. Yeah. All stadiums are in the worst place possible, and it will take you 4 hours to get there and 4 hours to get back. And that's just what we do. When I was there, there was a fire outside the stadium in a bunch of bushes, and I didn't know what was happening, and I was getting messages from people being like, are you in this fire right now? And I had no idea what they were talking about. Wow. So on that note, thank you, Suze, for joining me.
I got here eventually.
It doesn't matter how long it took or what route you took. We're just glad you're here. For Tom, of course, always glad to have him. For everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. We're stoked about the US U20, so we will have coverage around that going forward as well. Enjoy the national team games. Canada fans, enjoy the Australia game. I'm stoked about the Colombia game next Tuesday. We'll, of course, have your reaction and recap for all of that as well. And you can listen to this show as a podcast. If you are listening right now on the Kickback feed, you can go listen to Soccer Wise 3 to 4 times a week. And if you're listening to Soccer Wise, go follow the Kickback feed. We have at least 2 shows a week right now. We're having a lot of fun. We're really enjoying it, including all of your coverage of World Cup qualifying, World Cup ticketing, everything else that's going on. So thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you to you. Thank you to Douglas for helping out with the show here today. We'll talk to you